Hi everyone. Welcome to Daily Recaps. Today, I am going to explain a movie called Army of One. Hope you like it. Enjoy the video and take care. The movie begins, and we see two police officers carefully watching a nearby house, preparing for a raid. A masked, armed attacker ambushes and kills the officers after they break into the apartment. Dylan Baker, one of the officers, survives somehow. Later, Dylan Baker and his wife Brenner are going camping in the woods. Butch, a cartel member in another car, makes fun of Brenner as she drives, but she ignores him. Brenner continues her journey as Butch drives off. They stop for lunch at a country cafe shortly after, unaware that the cafe is owned by the cartel. Dylan goes to the restroom as Brenner peruses the menu. Butch and his goons unexpectedly barged into the cafe. He spots Brenner and approaches her. When Brenner makes fun of his crew, Butch threatens her. When Dylan returns, he asks Butch to leave his wife alone. He refuses and begins picking a fight with Dylan. Instead, Butch's mother, called Mama, intervenes and he backs off. She apologizes to the couple for her son's reckless behavior. Mama tells them to order anything they want on Butch's tab. So Brenner orders dessert with her lunch, even though Dylan asked her not to, as he does not want to stir up trouble between them, but Mama insists. So they place their orders. After they finish their meal, they leave and continue their drive to the country. When they arrive at the campsite, they set up camp and go out sightseeing. One of the other campers warns the couple about the unfriendly locals. Brenner thanks her and they set out. On their hike, suddenly rain starts falling and the pair find shelter in a house in the woods. This house also belongs to the cartel, but the couple is unaware. Dylan tells Brenner that they should leave, but she insists that they will be warmer and better off in the house, while waiting for the rain to stop and having sex. When the rain stops while the cartel is at church, Dylan tells Brenner that they should leave before the home's owner comes home. Brenner, however, doesn't pay attention and starts looking around the house. But when she finds a room full of guns, Dylan becomes afraid and urges them to leave. Meanwhile, Mama sends one of her men down to the house, where he finds the couple. He attacks them, and they're severely injured. Later, Butch arrives with the rest of the cartel, and Dylan is brutally tortured. When the cartel discover Dylan is a police officer, the cartel becomes worried as they initially suspected they were just spies. Before going back to the house and shooting the couple, they locate their campsite and discard their equipment. He then instructs his men to bury their corpses in a pit while leaving them to pass away. Brenner has a flashback to her time as a ranger, even though she is still alive. Brenner wishes she had listened to Dylan before acting and before waking up and climbing out of the pit, but it is too late. As she buries his body, she starts to cry and apologize. To avoid being seen by the cartel, she decides to stay there until morning. The next day, Brenner finds her way back to their campsite, where she finds an axe and swears revenge on the cartel for Dylan's death. She uses the axe to cut down tree branches and make spears. Meanwhile, the cartel members are having breakfast when Butch joins them. He proceeds to harass the maids. He picks on Emily, one of the maids. He occasionally has sex with until Mom arrives and puts a stop to it. Meanwhile, Brenner has armed herself and prepares to attack the cartel's home. When Butch and the rest of his men go to work, they leave a guard to watch over the house. Brenner soon after makes her way back to the cartel house, but when she looks around, she doesn't find anyone. Brenner then finds the guard and confronts him. While he is shocked that she is still alive, she attacks him with a wooden spear and stabs him to death. Then Brenner enters the home and looks around for the remaining cartel members, but discovers nobody else. Consequently, she goes back to the campsite to wait for them. Later, as two cartel members are hiding in the woods, Brenner spots them and attacks. She stabs one of the men to death and holds the other prisoner. She hangs him from a tree to threaten him and tells him to take her to the rest of his gang, but he won't back down. His gang members, Brenner cuts him loose and burns down one of their storage houses, but she secretly follows the man she set loose to use him as bait to find everyone else. The cartel man walks back to the house where Butch finds him. The man warns them that Brenner is still alive and out for their blood. Butch is shocked to learn that she is still alive and loses his cool. When Brenner notices Butch in the injured man, he stealthily follows them. He returns to the house without realizing that Brenner is under his truck as he does so. Brenner keeps a close eye on them as she plots her attack. Later, Mama reprimands Butch and tells him to find Brenner and finish the job. When she instructs Lawrence, a different cartel member, to look up information on Brenner, he learns she was a former first ranger with a high rank. Mama is awestruck by this woman and concerned for their safety. If she is not stopped, while the town sheriff, Sheriff Hobbs, is out hunting, he discovers the body of the dead cartel. He calls for backup and they decide to question Mama since she owns the land. Meanwhile, Brenner continues to hide while making more weapons. When Sheriff Hobbs questions Mama, she lies that the cartel member Earl had committed suicide. The sheriff doesn't believe her, but she insists that her men just found him dead on the spot. The sheriff leaves unconvinced, telling her to pick up the body in the morning. That night, the cartel mourns Earl and swears vengeance on Brenner as they fall asleep while singing and paying their last respects to Earl. Brenner attacks Butch in the barn, breaking his arm and slitting his throat. Knowing she has exacted justice for her husband, Brenner watches his life pass away with joy. She tucks his body away before passing out in the barn. When she wakes up the next day, she watches one of the cartel lock up a maid. Brenner also discovers that the rest of the clan is still asleep. Brenner approaches the maid and learns that the other maids have been locked up too. She sets them free and promises to protect them. But since one of the maids is afraid, the cartel will come after them. If they escape, she screams to wake up. As Brenner and the other maids flee, the cartel members who were sleeping outside begin shooting at Brenner. The maids flee into the woods, but Emily is injured and unable to walk by herself. As the group catches up to them and obstructs their way, 2 more cartel members are killed by Brenner. She escapes with Emily and they set up camp in the woods. That night, Emily is amazed by Brenner's skills and strength and asked if she could teach her a few things. Brenner also learns that Emily is pregnant with Butch's baby. Emily tells Brenner that the gang won't stop hunting until they find her, but Brenner assures her she is safe with her. Brenner also learns that the cartel traffics women as maids. Brenner is disturbed to hear the extent of the cartel's evil deeds and swear she will stop them. The next morning, Emily is taken hostage by the cartel and Brenner saves her. Sheriff Hobbs tries to help the women, but he is shot in the leg and unable to walk. Brenner wants to leave him behind, but Emily insists. They bring him along as the cartel would kill him if left behind. They assist the sheriff in standing up after she reluctantly agrees. In the meantime, Mama is enraged and sends reinforcements to kill and capture Brenner. The resuppliers locate the cartel members who have died and use them to locate the group that is running away. The sheriff, who is no longer able to walk, is left behind by Brenner and Emily. Emily's injury, however, leaves a blood trail. Mama's reinforcements bring along hunting dogs who pick up Emily's scent and track her down. But Brenner and Emily cross a deep river which washes off Emily's blood, covering their tracks so the dogs can't find them. When they arrive at the road, a lady offers to help, but they soon discover that the woman works for Mama and takes them back to the cartel. Mom orders that they be tortured because she is glad to still see them alive. Emily is given the death penalty by Mama because she tried to flee, but Brenner informs Mama that Emily was pregnant and didn't want to flee. However, she compelled her to flee into the woods. Mama spares Emily's life after learning that she is carrying her grandchild. Mama commands that Brenner be imprisoned for trespassing on her property, killing her boys, and dragging away his brothers. She claims she'll kill Mama as well. The men can find Brenner and alternately keep watch over her. Later, Emily is informed by Mama that she will be killed because she doesn't believe the story Emily told. After the baby is born in lockup, Brenner has nightmares about her time as a ranger. One of the cartel members tries to give her water and treat her wounds, but he is chased away by another cartel member, Vince. Emily wants to know if Brenner is okay, so she brings some food for Vince, who tries to rape her. While Brenner distracts him, Emily stabs him multiple times. Emily is terrified from killing a man and freezes on the spot. She is brought back to the present by Brenner, who orders her to let loose. Emily is instructed to hide while Brenner administers a morphine injection so she can clean the house. Brenner starts brutally murdering each and every cartel member in the house one by one. When Mama comes back, she is horrified. Brenner is attacked by one of the survivors, but shoots him in the face as he stalls. Before she can recover, another member attacks, but she also kills him. Mama appears with a knife to Emily's throat and begs Brenner to turn himself in as he searches the house for any survivors. Mama kills Emily and flees after Brenner rejects him. After making a promise to return for Mama, Brenner departs. 3 months later, and we learn that Sheriff Hobbs is still alive. He receives a call from Brenner who tells him she is back in town and needs his help. Sheriff Hobbs is happy to hear that she is still alive and agrees to help. Later, as Mama receives a threatening text from Brenner. She is shot in the head now that Brenner has finally avenged her husband. She packs her stuff and leaves. That's all from the movie. Thanks for watching. If you really want more interesting videos like this, then hit like and subscribe to support the Daily Recaps. See you again. Take care.